Hello everybody, this is Shane with Starner's Woodworking, and today I'm going to show you how I turn this ugly looking thing into a half decent looking segmented bowl. So before I waste any of your time, let's get right into the video. So to start off this project, I'm going to be using a pre-surfaced piece of walnut lumber and also a piece of spalted maple. And as you can see, the beautiful spalted figure throughout the board. So once I get both those boards surfaced, I'm going to be cutting each of them into as many 2-inch strips as I can get out of each of the boards. So the next step is to head over back to the table saw again, set my miter gauge to 22.5 degrees, and I'm going to cut these all into trapezoids to get my segments that I'm going for. So as you can see, I have a block of maple there just C-clamped to my fence, acting as a stop block for my angles, and then I'm using just an old piece of plywood screwed into my miter gauge as a sacrificial fence. So my plan going forward here is to get 8 total segments for each ring. Once I have 8 total, I actually am going to move my fence over 1/4 of an inch just to get that taper and bowl-like shape to make the ring slightly bigger as we go up through the top. So once I have these all laid out in the pattern that I like them, I have these hose clamps here to glue them up, but as you can see, one of these is not going to be big enough for what I'm looking for. So I rigged 2 of them up together, and this should be able to do the trick for at least most of them. Once I have them set up, I'm applying a decent amount of glue since this is mostly an end grain bond, and you want to make sure you have a nice tight bond there. If any of you were wondering about that piece of plexiglass I have down, that is just to act as a placemat so I don't get glue all over the top of my workbench. Then again, I'm just tightening my hose clamps here, setting them aside to dry for a good couple of hours, and again, it's just a rinse and repeat process until I get all 5 rings done. Once I leave all of them to dry, I'm going to take them out of the hose clamps and set my belt sander up and get them good sanded nice and flat so I can get a good bond between all 5 of the rings when I go to glue them up for the final glue. So for this bowl and the different segmented rings, it was kind of a little experiment of how I should glue it up. I ended up having to do probably a couple extra glue ups than I needed between the face plate and the bottom of the bowl, but in the end I got it all to a good bond and it all worked out. So here you can definitely see the type of contraption of clamps that I had to use to get this thing all glued up and straight and looking nice. Then I put a couple of screws through a 2-inch piece of maple to act as my face plate. And once I get that thing all glued up finally to my bowl, we're going to be getting this thing turning once it's all dry. So I'm going to let you sit back and relax, and I'm going to put a little compilation of me turning the bowl. Alright everybody, and that is the bowl all complete. I'm by no means a professional wood lathe turner, but I'm actually super happy with how this came out for one of my first times doing it. For my finish, I just applied 2 coats of polyurethane, sanded that down, and used some wax to make a nice and smooth finish. But anyways, I'm super happy with how the walnut really complements this spalted piece of wood here. The pattern that I chose really looks great, and I'm super happy with how this turned out again. Also, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and making it to the end of the video. It really helps out a lot, and if you enjoyed or learned anything, please consider subscribing. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.